Okay, and hold on just a sec. There we go, and we are live. Perfect. Okay, now to everybody out there, hello, hola, konnichiwa, salam, ciao, namaste. Peace to all. This is the Pink Elf in the Room conversation. And what we will be talking about for today is about aliens, alien life, and the existence of them and why you do not see them. And we will be starting right now. So, first of all, what do I mean by all of this in a sense of the existence of aliens and why we as a species do not see them? What I simply mean in any sense is simply what we're discussing is about the simple fact that there are other species besides our own that live on the planet, if not outside of the planet, that live amongst us. Many people may believe that these species do not exist and that such a thing doesn't exist. However, to believe that you are the only thing on this planet that is real is a very flawed ideology. We are not the only ones here. But this is where we get into the reasoning of that. For example, if we're not the only ones here, then many people might ask, then how possibly could they be here? Or where are they? Well, first, let's get into this. Let's get into the reason why aliens or universal beings, in a sense, is what I call them, other species exist besides our own. They exist, first off, because of the simple fact that there are often too many stories, too many events, too many phenomena of things happening around our planet. Now, many people can say those are coincidences or whatnot, but the thing you have to realize is that when a trend happens, it just happens and it disappears. This has been going on for years, decades, centuries, if not longer, with different species, different things that we see in the sky, all sorts of things that can possibly allow us to believe in a sense or see, excuse me, see in a sense something more than us. The second thing is people with stories of seeing these species in any sense or having an experience or connection with these species in some way, shape, or form has happened to many people around us. If not, we've heard stories about them of these events going on where something may happen to a person. And again, if it did not happen, you wouldn't have so many people that have these stories in the first place or discuss about these stories in the first place when there are so many people who go through these things. Number three, the fact that in the end of all these stories, they still haven't died out at all. In fact, they keep growing and growing in information and what's really going on around the world and whatnot, or other UFOs meeting other beings and whatnot, or hearing certain things around the world, or so on and so forth. It hasn't died off in any sense. It's all connected. All three of these are connected in any sense that show that if this was truly just a fad, it would have disappeared. But the fact that it has continued over and over says that there's more than meets the eye about it that we are possibly not willing to look into. And this leads into why we've never seen aliens in the first place. Because if all this is together the way it is, then why haven't we seen these species? Why haven't we seen these beings before? Let's start off with, first of all, one of the reasons you haven't seen them is due to us being too afraid. We're too afraid. We're afraid of the unknown. And we're afraid of seeing something new that is not of this. If it doesn't look like us, we think it to be, we don't think it to yawn. We think it to be taboo in any sense, that it should not be here, that does not work. So it leads us to be, in any sense, like how we are in today's society. The other reason being that we don't get along. If you look at how we treat each other, how we act to each other, in any sense, we look at each other as unknowns based on our color, our skin, or whatnot. And if it's not that we base it off of that, we base it off a far other side, which is interesting, what we consider to be ignorance, which is an illusion in itself. We believe people to be ignorant, give or take what they wear, give or take what they do, what they say about another religion, gender, race, etc., to a very high extreme. Now, of course, for many of these people, this is valid. I want to make that clear. But for many of us, we take it to those extremes. We don't get along with each other. We separate ourselves from one another, give or take, of course, again, our sex, our religion, our race, and so on and so forth, our status, believing us not to be equal to one another, or even not even trying to be equal, but just simply being fair to one another in order to move forth and grow with each other. We do not think in that same process. And that being said, it causes a problem to all of us. The third thing is we are too primitive. And what do I mean by we're too primitive? We, for example, we are very conniving to each other. We are, again, separated from each other. We are constantly manipulating others to gain. And sometimes that gain can do more harm to the other person. We use income as a sense for you to earn stuff. Instead of connecting with each other, trading with each other, growing with each other, we use some sort of unit to create a sense of stopping us from getting where we desire. We use a system to tell us what's real and what's not, what we feel is right and what is wrong, instead of looking for what works and what does not work. It doesn't work for us to manipulate people for gain, because what it does is, in a sense, even though we believe it so dearly, is it does make winners and losers. This is the only thing we know and believe in, that we believe competition is necessary to grow our system, our economy, or whatnot. And we don't realize that there is no reason for it. But you wouldn't know anything about that because you haven't seen anything past that. It goes into any system that you've had in this world thus far especially in the 21st century. Any system that has already been put in place, you believe in, you don't change your ideology because you know nothing else but that. You know nothing different that can make you think on a critical scale. And that's the biggest problem. We are creatures of habit. We're creatures of memory. We are memorizing things instead of simply creating, critically thinking to create the world we desire. Yes, you may live in a world that is such, but the reason you are not seeing these species is because you are not thinking as one, and you're not willing to work fairly with each other as one to grow not only the self, not only the entire world, which is still the self, but to connect on such a level that is simply fair and gives anyone a chance and the opportunity to get to where they say they desire to go and get what they desire to get in life. We have not changed this ideology. We would love to tell people, well, we give people chances, we do this, we do that. But you see, to give someone a chance is to allow them to freely succeed in what they desire, not to limit them by what they are doing, not to stop them from gaining what they desire access to, but allowing them to have access to what they desire and to grow. We are too afraid, though. We have primitive nature, and it has caused several systems upon several systems upon several systems to us. When you talk about, for example, crime would easily be able to be demolished in a sense or dismantled in a sense if we were more willing to give the simple, basic things to everyone that they need: food, water, shelter, clothes. If these simple things were provided to people, people would not have to fight so hard to do what we call criminal activity. We would work with each other and create what we desire because now we have the time, now we have the money, now we have the food, etc., etc. But due to the fact that that is not the case, we think very primitively instead of at a high level. The last reason, the fourth reason why you do not see them is because they're trying to help you so you can see them. Now, what do I mean by that? Again, this leads to being primitive. Due to our primitive nature, it is not important for us to see these beings at this point in time. But that being said, you have many beings, and especially beings you cannot see because of how advanced they are, that are tipping the scales to watch you grow. Of course, there are beings that do not see any success in you because, or better yet, us, to be more clear, do not see any success in us for the simple fact of how we are right now. But you can simply change everything by choosing to have something different, by choosing to see things as they are, to see what we are doing and what is flawed and how we can create something more and something more sublime. So, what does this all have to do with the soul? It honestly has nothing to do with the soul. You might think, what do you mean by it has nothing to do with the soul? It does and it doesn't. But the reason why it doesn't is because this is your experience. Now, of course, these beings and whatnot you can bring to you, especially those that are of great help, of great positivity, of great vibration of love, care, and peace. And you might desire those beings around you instead of living in fear base, because that will cause nothing but havoc on you. But when you're around that energy of love and kindness and care, and you are talking to those beings, yes, those beings can help you to get to where you say you desire to go if you so choose. It is like someone who's allowed you to come over to visit. The door is open and the choice is yours if you desire to come through that door or not. It is also your choice if you desire the snacks that are on the table. It is your choice to greet that person. It's all a choice. You can choose to, of course, get help and learn information beyond that, or connect, or bring that forth, or manifest that forth to create what you desire, or you can choose not to and do as you wish. But remember that at the end of the day, this is you. You are a soul creating an experience, and it is a choice of what experience you desire to create. Whether with other universal beings or no universal beings, whether in love or hate, peace or violence, just simply remember that the choice is yours, and that in conclusion, these the reasons you, of course, do not see these species is simply because partially we many do not believe in them, and yet at the same time we fear what we do not believe or see or have not seen, instead of learning and looking and understanding and observing everything around us, realizing that we are the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within. So, to everybody out there, I just want to say for you to have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. To everybody, peace and namaste.